It is currently 3:04 p.m. Central US time. And as you can see, I am still lying comfortably in my bed, right here in my bedroom. This right here, what I'm currently doing, this is what I worked so hard for when I was younger. Okay, when I was 19, working at H&M, editing videos on my break to get 100 views, 15-minute breaks where I would just sleep in the break room, try to get in a little power nap to get me through the rest of my shift. This is what I worked for, is the ability to wake up whenever I feel like waking up. The ability to not have to adhere to anybody else's schedule except for my own and my girlfriend's. This is time freedom. This is time freedom, and it is by far the best type of freedom that there is. When you start working for yourself, you get time freedom. Time freedom is better than any amount of money that you could ever make in your life. I remember when I graduated from high school, I would always say that it's time to get out of bed. I would always say that I would rather make $50,000 a year working for myself than to make $500,000 a year working for someone else. And that still holds true. That still holds true. Because I don't believe that there's any amount of money that can offset being able to live your life on your own terms. And the only way you can live your life on your own terms is if you can live your life on your own time. Ignore the sound of the toilet. I don't know what's going on with that. I thought I had fixed it a couple of days ago. Yeah, it turns out I think I might have just made it worse. But for this time, it will have to be like this. We'll just call this ambient white noise in the background. Ambient white noise. You love to see it. So, time freedom is unequivocally the best type of freedom that there is. However, it is not the only type of freedom. There are other types of freedoms, and interestingly enough, a couple of months ago, I was reading a book called Way of the Superior Man, and one of the main concepts in that book is that the masculine in all of us does everything with the underlying intention of securing freedom. And everything that we're drawn to is simply a reflection of that. So for example, with sports, there's always some sort of opposition, and then there's a goal that represents freedom. And that freedom creates a sensation of ecstasy within the masculine, within all of us. And I find this to be pretty interesting because I realize now that pretty much everything that I do is about securing freedom in some way, shape, or form. Now, to my point earlier, there are multiple different types of freedoms. I already have time freedom. I've already secured that freedom for myself. However, again, there are other types of freedoms, one of which being spiritual freedom. That being said, let's go ahead and indulge in a little group meditation, if you will, so that we can expand our spiritual freedom together. Okay, 2 minutes. That's all I ask of you. 2 minutes. Let's expand our consciousness and secure our spiritual freedom. Just breathe in, breathe out, close your eyes. Make sure that your posture is good. Actually, close your eyes though. It's kind of weird to just watch me meditate. You are not your mind. You are your soul. You are the witness of your thoughts. Your mind is mortal, but your soul is eternal. I think that might have been a little more than 2 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot I was filming this video. But if you want to keep meditating, you can meditate in your own time. But what is spiritual freedom? Right? Why was I saying the things I was saying during the meditation? Well, I was saying them because they're true. I mean, simply put, we are not our minds, we are our souls. And it's important to understand this because you can't be aware of yourself from the level of awareness in which you currently reside. In other words, if you are aware of a pattern that takes place within your mind, the only way you can become aware of that pattern is if you have transcended that level. You are no longer operating from the level of your mind, you're operating from a level beyond that. Now, a lot of people think that we only exist in here. And to my point, if that's true, then self-awareness should be impossible. Just like water can't wet itself and fire can't burn itself, we can't be aware of ourselves from the level of awareness in which we currently reside. Just some food for thought. That's pretty much all you need to know about spiritual freedom. But what about physical freedom? What is physical freedom? Why did I write that down in my gratitude journal today? I almost said this morning, it's 4 p.m., but why did I write that down in my gratitude journal this morning, this afternoon, whatever? Because I suspect that a lot of people don't truly appreciate their physical freedom because they don't know what it is. You see, the thing about physical freedom is you don't know that you have it until it's gone. I learned this firsthand when I was 19 years old. Now, I've talked a lot about my stretching routine and being able to touch my toes and all of that, but I haven't really explained how I reached a point where I wasn't able to do those simple tasks. So it all started when I was 19 years old. To my point earlier, I was working at H&M around this time, and the stress was killing me. Literally, stress is one of the greatest killers that there is. And for me personally, I saw this manifesting itself in a lot of health issues. For example, I was having flare-ups with my skin. Okay, I was struggling with eczema. To an extent, I still do, but definitely not to the same extent as I was back then. And I also noticed that I started getting these little ticky-tack injuries at the gym. Wrist might be messed up, elbow, little things like that shouldn't really happen to a 19-year-old. Stuff like that was happening to me. And I guess part of this could be attributed to sleep deprivation as well. That was pretty much the norm in my life. That's why I allow myself to sleep in every single day now, because I'm still trying to catch up on that sleep I missed while I was working at H&M. But nevertheless, around November of 2019, I noticed that my back started hurting. Now, mind you, I had always somewhat had lower back issues in that if I walked for too long or I just engaged in strenuous activities for too long, my lower back would kind of give me a little bit of trouble. But at this point, it became constant. It was just a constant underlying aspect of my reality that my back was just hurting. And these sorts of things can be very, very mentally debilitating because, in a sense, you just learn to normalize it, right? As humans, we have the ability to adapt. But in some ways, this can be a curse just as much as it is a blessing. And in this case, it was a curse because I simply normalized it and I was just sticking to what I was doing. Okay, I was locked in on YouTube, doing these public interviews and working at H&M, trying to stack my money up so I can buy my equipment. I think at that point, I had already put in probably $3,000 towards my YouTube channel and hadn't made a single dollar back. Okay, I was stressed, but my goals were a lot bigger than the pain I was experiencing. Nevertheless, I think around December or January, so either December of 2019 or January of 2020, I started seeing a chiropractor. Now, I had never been to a chiropractor before, so I didn't really know what to expect, but basically, they just did what chiropractors do, okay? They popped my back, and I think that was more or less it for that time. But for whatever reason, my back started to get worse. Okay, it started to get even worse, and I think it's because I was stressing more and more and more and more about my YouTube situation. And one thing that I've learned, and this is something that one of the physical therapists, which I'll talk about here in a second, one of the things that the physical therapist confirmed to me was that if you're thinking negatively and if you're feeling bad and if you're stressed, if you have all of these negative emotions weighing you down, it actually makes any of these injuries, especially stress-related injuries, worse. Okay, so things like back spasms, or in my case, it ended up being a herniated disc. Now, at this point, I don't think I had a herniated disc. I think it was just back spasms from the stress. And the reason why I say this is because it wasn't really a nerve issue in that I lost a lot of mobility and I had a lot of pain. But a great way of figuring out whether or not you have a nerve issue versus a muscle issue is whether or not it hurts when you cough or sneeze. If it hurts when you cough or sneeze, it's more than likely a nerve issue. In my case, it was back spasms from the stress. So I went to the chiropractor for, I want to say, almost all of 2020. Almost all of 2020, up until about July. I think July is when I stopped going to the chiropractor. And at that point, my back was good. Okay, at this point, I'm monetized on YouTube. I'm not working at H&M anymore. So my life was a lot less stressful. Right? I had just gotten ghosted by a girl. That sucked at the time. But I was generally much better off than I had been around late 2019, early 2020. So around this time, I'm indulging in the physical freedom that I have, this newfound physical freedom that I've recovered. And I made the decision to, for whatever reason, start trying to dunk again. Now, if you go back on my channel to my very first few videos, all of them were dunking related. Alright, now there's nothing inherently wrong with dunking. However, there's pretty much no upside to doing it. Especially in my case, where clearly I must not have had good landing mechanics or whatever, because once I started doing this again, and hold on real quick, just to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about, let me bring up an old video. Let me bring up an old video of myself dunking around this time. This would have been around August of 2020. Now look, I was getting up, alright? I'm 5'9". Just keep that in mind. I am 5'9", and I was getting up, bro. I was getting up. Around this time, I think I started locking in with the gym even more, and it definitely showed. Alright, let's do the slow-mo. Let's do the slow-mo right here. I don't know if you can see that, but look, I was getting up, okay, but you can see the landing mechanics. I was landing on that one leg. And that was not a good idea. Alright, if you're ever dunking, try to land on 2 feet. The reason why I say this is because I think this is what caused the nerve issue. Now, the nerve issue, this was a whole different type of pain. A whole different type of pain. I don't even remember when I started feeling it. I just know that one day I realized, yeah, my back it's fucked, bro. It's pretty much fucked at this point. And all of the loss of mobility and all of that, it returned. But then in addition to that, I had nerve-related pain. So for example, my leg would hurt all the way down my leg because the nerve refers pain down your leg. And it would hurt when I coughed and I sneezed and all of that, bro. It sucked, okay? It really, really sucked. And I want to say around September or October, so literally 2 months after I finished at the chiropractor, I had to start going back. And I was going back all the way through the rest of the year until I ran out of visits for the insurance. I think our health insurance only allowed for maybe 30 visits or something like that, and I ran through them. So after that, I think that was around November of 2020, I stopped going to the chiropractor. So I pretty much just normalized it in my life. And by the way, going to the chiropractor did not fix this. It fixed the back spasms, but it definitely did not fix the nerve issue. So I was pretty much just suffering in my day-to-day life. I'm talking about I couldn't walk more than 5 minutes without being in excruciating pain. 5 minutes. I couldn't stand more than 5 or 10 minutes as well. Okay, it really, really sucked and it was really demoralizing. But again, I just normalized it. I adapted to it and that was just my life. Now around, I want to say April of 2021. Okay, so we're talking 5-6 months later of just experiencing this pain. By the way, actually, before I tell that story, February 2021, you might or might not remember, but if you were following me back then, I did a vlog in LA. I went to Los Angeles for about 3-4 days. I vlogged the experience, and from just watching the vlog, you would have never known I was going through this, but bro, I was suffering the whole time. And then the flight back from LA to Dallas, let me tell you something, bro. That was the worst pain I ever experienced in my life. I guess it was because I was holding my backpack and I had a lot in it or whatever. And then of course at the airport you have to stand in line and everything like that. And something about this particular back injury is that it didn't get better from sitting down. The only thing I could do to make it feel better was to lie down. So it wasn't uncommon for me to get in my car and recline the seat all the way back and just lie down for 20-30 minutes just to recover from 5 to 10 minutes of walking or standing. In an airplane, you don't really have that option because you're in an airplane. You have to sit up. Bro, let me tell you something. The pain that I felt on that airplane was so bad that I actually thought I would have to go to one of the pilots or one of the flight attendants or something and tell them to make an emergency landing, bro. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it through the flight. The flight is, I think, 3.5 hours, give or take. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. Luckily, I had the row to myself, so I was able to put the armrests up and just lie down and go to sleep. And luckily, that fixed the problem. But had I not had that ability, I either would have had to lie down in the overhead bin or something, bro. I don't know. I was struggling. And this is one of those things where unless you've actually been through this type of pain, you won't understand, right? You will not understand just how mentally taxing and debilitating this can be. Now, even with that experience, I still decided not to go and seek treatment. Why? I don't know. I guess I was so locked in on YouTube once again that I just didn't really think to do it. I normalized it. I said, this is a part of my life and I'm probably going to be in this sort of condition for the rest of my life. Okay, and if you're in this sort of position, never do that. Because every day that you decide to not seek treatment, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's going to compound. So what actually made me go and seek treatment was I was with my ex at the time. Okay, if you were following my channel back then, you remember my ex. Now, on this particular day, me and my ex decided, as a matter of fact, I think I might have surprised her with this. I don't even know. But nevertheless, I took her to a museum. It was the museum that me and her had went to on our second date. So there were a lot of great memories associated with that. But we went to this museum. We're all dressed up and everything. All is well. About 10 minutes after we get there, okay, obviously at a museum, you're walking and standing the majority of the time. About 10 minutes after we get there, I'm like, yo, we need to leave because I can't do this. I can't do it. It hurts too much. And so we get in the car and I recline the seat. I used to use the seat warmers to make it feel better. I probably wore those seat warmers all the way out, bro, in that Kia Optima, bro. Those seat warmers did come in clutch though. But I pretty much just sat there in the car and I'm just feeling completely shitty about myself, bro. Because I'm like, damn, I can't even take my girl on a date anymore, right? It got to that point. And even after lying down in the car for maybe 20 minutes or so, we're driving to another spot and I keep kind of doing this, bro, because it still hurts. It still hurts. It's pretty much constant pain at this point. There's no real relief. It's just a constant underlying pain. So I'm squirming. I'm doing all this, bro. I'm readjusting in the seat. And then in the corner of my eye, I see her in the passenger seat like this, right? And I'm like, damn, I wonder what's wrong with her. And so I look over and sure enough, she's crying. She's crying, tears. And I'm like, what's wrong? I mean, at first I thought that maybe it's because we had canceled the museum date a little early. So, of course, I felt even shittier about myself after that. But she told me that she was crying because she didn't like to see me in that sort of pain. And that was when I realized that, wait a minute, my pain doesn't just affect me, it affects other people around me. And so I need to go and seek treatment. So again, this was around April 2021. I want to say in May of 2021, I went to the doctor. Mind you, this is the first time I went to the doctor since I was 14 years old. Granted, I wasn't going for a regular checkup or anything like that, but I did go and get an MRI done, and I found out that I had a herniated disc. Now, if you've had a herniated disc, all right, you know the pain that comes with that. So imagine just living with that for months on end and not doing anything about it. And mind you, during this time, I'm not stretching at all. The lack of stretching is probably what caused this as well, in addition to just general bullshit, tomfoolery. I don't know, just me trying to dunk and do things that didn't really matter. Lack of stretching is probably one of the primary causes of not just this, but also the back spasms that I had before. Because I was active in the gym, I was lifting, squatting, deadlifting, all of this stuff. And I wasn't stretching before or after my workouts. No stretching, no foam rolling, nothing. Okay, and I don't know, just in retrospect, it doesn't make sense why I wasn't doing these things, but again, I guess I was so locked in on YouTube that I didn't even think about my health. Okay, we're talking about the Jordan Green that would skip meals and get 3 hours of sleep over these videos. Okay, we're talking about that Jordan Green. This is not somebody that you should admire, by the way. You should not aspire to be in a position like that where you're prioritizing your work over your health and your well-being. Because without your health and well-being, no amount of money matters because you can't even enjoy it. Imagine having $1 million and you can't even walk for 5 minutes. Okay, priorities backwards. But anyways, they diagnosed me with a herniated disc and I started physical therapy soon thereafter. And I want to say I did physical therapy from May of 2021 through October. I think it was May through October. And if I'm being completely honest, bro, it didn't really help. It didn't really help at all. I mean, they had me doing a lot of core exercises. They showed me the proper squat and deadlift form. It got me a lot stronger, but it didn't really fix the core issue. So I'm pretty sure I quit doing the physical therapy after a while. I kept spacing out the visits and eventually I just stopped going. Still had the back problems. And then after that, I moved into an apartment that was kind of far away from the physical therapy anyways. So, I mean, all of that was... Ooh, hold on real quick. I think you're running a fever, bro. For this time, it will have to be like this. But anyways, I moved to an apartment that was kind of far away. And again, I just locked in on YouTube and kind of stopped prioritizing my health. I think at this point, I was doing a stretching routine though. I want to say around August the 1st. It was August the 1st actually of 2021 when I started doing my stretches every single day. Since then, I haven't missed a day of stretching, by the way. Since August 1st of 2021, I have stretched every single day. The only habit I've been more consistent with is my skincare. That's the only thing that I've been more consistent with than my stretching routine. Nevertheless, that shit was not working. Okay, that shit was not working for the longest time, and I was pretty much just beyond frustration. I pretty much had just given up at this point. I was out of my relationship, so I didn't really care whether the people around me cared about the pain that I was going through because there really wasn't anyone around me to care. So I'm just locked in on YouTube again, and then around March, I want to say March or April, late March, early April of 2022, the back spasms came back in addition to the herniated disc. So now I had the best of both worlds, okay? I had both types of pain simultaneously all the time. As a matter of fact, I lied. I said that I hadn't skipped my stretching routine since August 1st, 2021. There was about a week where I physically couldn't do my stretches. I was pretty much bedridden for about a week. And I was sick on top of that. I think I talked about the little bean bowls that I made in the What I Eat in a Day video and how I got, I would say, mild food poisoning from that. That happened at the same time as this happened, where I had the herniated disc and the back spasms. So for about a week, I was pretty much miserable. Okay, this is when I realized, wow, physical freedom, physical freedom is really underrated. Physical freedom is extremely underrated, and people don't really give it enough credit in terms of how it enhances their quality of life. You don't know what physical freedom is until you lose it. Now, for some reason, I guess once I had healed from whatever bacterial infection I had gotten from that food, I decided to sign up for a yoga class. Part of this was because I wanted to meet women. Okay, I wanted to put myself out there so I could meet women. Again, I was single at the time. This is April 2022. I'm single at the time. I go to the yoga class, it's all old people. Okay, if you remember when I was in that apartment, bro, and I was talking about how that city was full of old people, I wasn't exaggerating. That city really was full of old people, bro. There really weren't anybody, there were no single people in my age range in that city. Granted, it was a blessing in disguise because it led me to my girlfriend right now, but that's neither here nor there. So I signed up for this yoga class, and I think I attended maybe 2 or 3 lessons, but I couldn't do any of the poses. Now mind you, I'm sitting here watching people who are in their 60s, gray hair, doing these poses that me, a 22-year-old at the time, couldn't do. All right, so you want to talk about your ego hurting, bro. I was like, what the fuck, bro? This is crazy. But I didn't know what to do about it. So the last yoga session that I did, there was this different instructor. We had a different instructor this time, and this particular instructor, she said that she had dealt with some sort of, I don't know if it was a disease or an ailment. She dealt with something when she was younger where she was basically confined to bed. In that she had to have people help her use the bathroom. She had to have people help her eat. I'm talking about do the most basic, trivial tasks throughout her day. And this really caught my attention because she was making that yoga stuff look easy. I mean, she was the instructor. Imagine going from that position to being a yoga instructor. So, of course, after class, I went up to her and I asked her, hey, I'm dealing with this back issue and I don't really know how to solve it, but clearly you must know something that I don't. So how did you go about fixing that? Because I'm sure you didn't just wake up one day doing the, what's it called? Warrior 2 or any of the yoga poses. I don't know. I'm sure you didn't wake up one day just suddenly able to do that stuff. And if you did, you need to tell me how. And what she told me was she went to this physiotherapist who did dry needling on her. And that was what fixed her problem. And I said, what physical therapist, or physiotherapist rather, did you go to? She gave me the name of the place, and I went to the place. I got the dry needling done, and after about, I want to say, 2 months of that, I was pretty much 90% recovered. And he also gave me some exercises to do, and I'll show you one of the exercises later on in this video when I do the stretches, so that if you're in that position, you can do this as well. This should work for anybody who has a herniated disc. But yeah, bro, once I got healed, I want to say this was around August. August of 2022 was probably around the time when I was fully recovered. By the time I moved into my car, I was good. I was 100% again. I'm saying all of this to say, don't take your physical freedom for granted. And if you don't have physical freedom, don't normalize that. Don't normalize that. Nadia, I'm talking to you with your neck injuries, okay? Do not normalize that. I'm not going to let you normalize that. You know that. But to anybody who's not Nadia, if you have any sort of restrictions on your physical freedom that you can control, okay, and clearly I don't have much control over the battery life of this camera because my camera just died. But basically what I was saying is, if you're in a position where you have physical freedom, don't take it for granted. Okay, make sure that you sustain that physical freedom by doing the stretches that I'm about to show you. And if you're in a position where you don't have the physical freedom, don't give up. Okay, do not give up. There was a point, bro, especially when I had that herniated disc and the back spasms, where I was looking on the internet for answers, and I don't know why I'm putting this on. I'm not going anywhere today. But I was looking for answers and I was not getting any answers at all. As a matter of fact, the answers that I was getting were so discouraging that I just stopped looking for answers. I was seeing people say that, oh, I've had a herniated disc for 20, 30 years and it hasn't gotten better. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? They're talking about there's no actual cure for a herniated disc. I was like, bro, I don't even want to feed my mind this sort of information anymore. And I suggest that you stop feeding your mind that information as well. That being said, let me feed your mind with some good information, some empowering information that can help you reverse your situation. Okay, now I'm gonna show you all the stretches that I do. I'm gonna try to get the best angles, but my room is a little small, so it might be difficult to show you the full extent of every stretch. Okay, that's kind of a strange angle, but ooh, hold on, that sun is beaming, boy. Damn. But anyways, all right, the first stretch that I'm gonna do, that we're gonna do, you're gonna do this with me, is you're gonna stand perpendicular. You're gonna stand next to a wall, all right? Stand next to a wall, and you're gonna take the foot that's closest to the wall and put it behind the other foot, or rather on the other side of the other foot. Okay, so you're gonna do like this. Hopefully you can see this, all right? And then you're gonna put the first hand on the wall like this, and then you're gonna do this. Now you're gonna do this for 15 breaths. We're gonna do this together, the whole stretching routine. Alright, now you're going to do the same thing. Hold on real quick. Let me open these blinds up so you can get that premium lighting. Ooh, shit. get that premium lighting. You're gonna do the same thing for the other side. So just like this. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me give you a different angle on this, just so that you know exactly what we're doing here. Let's put you over here on the bed. All right, so look, same thing for this side. 15 breaths. Every stretch that we do, we're gonna do it for 15 breaths, deep breaths. You should be doing this with me. Alright, that stretch right there, if done correctly, you should feel the stretch here in your lats and pretty much all the way down your side through your hip. Now the next stretch that we're going to do, let's move the camera, matter of fact, no, this is a pretty good angle. The next stretch that we're going to do is you're going to find a door frame or any sort of corner. You're going to grab the inner corner and you're basically going to lean outward to stretch your front delt right here. This is especially important for the workouts that you've seen me do. All right, you want to stretch the front delt, 15 breaths. Then you're going to do the same for the other side. So, same thing for that left shoulder. Right, now, go ahead and move you again. We're gonna do something for the rear delts right here. So, just gonna do this stretch right here, the classic. 15 breaths. Then we're going to do the same for the other arm, or rather the other shoulder. Alright, so once you've done that, you're going to do this stretch right here. Let me find a premium angle for you. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so look, you're going to spread your legs apart like this. Alright, as far as you can, and then you're going to touch the ground. Now listen very closely. Okay, I know you heard that. You want to really stretch the inner hamstrings, I guess you would call it, right? The inside of your leg. And you're going to hold this for 15 seconds. 15-second count. 15 breath count, rather. Alright. So, once you do that one, I'll show you the next stretch right here. The next stretch is, this is one of the warrior poses. This is an actual yoga pose, but I don't know which one it is. But basically, you're going to do this right here. You're going to go into a lunge type position, and then you're going to bring your arms up, and then you're going to lean back. You should feel the stretch here more than anywhere else. 15 breaths. Alright, then we're going to do it for the other side. Let me get you a different angle though. It's all about these angles. So look, you can do the same thing for the other side, like so. Right. So after that one, we're going to get into the money stretches. All right. These are the stretches that really move the needle the most, especially if you're in a position like I was. Gesundheit. So look, check this out. Check this out. I'm going to find you a place to sit like so. And if you can touch your toes like this, then do that. You'll save yourself time, but I can't do that at this point. Granted, I'm grateful to be able to do this right here. Okay, this right here, this is the next stretch. We're going to do this for each leg, 15 breaths. You should be doing this with me. Now when you do this stretch in particular, you want to try to keep the back of your knee as close to the ground as possible. So a great way of doing that is to bring your foot back like that. If you bring your foot back, you'll naturally stretch your hamstrings. This is actually a big part of the reason why I ended up with back issues, is because my hamstrings were really tight. When you have tight hamstrings, it'll refer pain to your lower back. Just a fun fact. So once you finish that stretch right there, you're gonna go into the butterfly pose. Alright, so this one right here, I think this is a classic yoga pose as well. But this is really good for kind of that inner quad, inner hip area. Hold this for 15 breaths. Okay. So once you do the butterfly pose, now we're gonna do the lying down stretches. Alright, these right here are money stretches as well. Give you that good premium angle. Okay. Now look, check this out. You're gonna lie down on your back like this, just like so. You're gonna take, it doesn't matter which leg you start with, but we'll start with the left leg for today. Okay, we're gonna bring the left leg up like this. Keep your left arm flat on whatever surface you're lying down on. You're gonna take your left leg and you're gonna bring it over your right leg until your knee touches the ground or whatever surface you're lying on. Okay, you heard that pop? Now, you wanna look in the direction of whatever leg you've just pulled over the other one. So in my case, I'm gonna look to the left. 15 breaths. Now we're going to do the same for the other side. Same exact thing, same exact way. It stretches all of this right here and your lower back. It's 15. Now this right here, look, you need to listen very closely. If you have lower back problems or hip problems or anything like that, this one right here will probably be the one that fixes it. So look, check this out. This one's called the figure four. You're going to take your legs and do like this. Alright, now you're going to take one of your legs, it doesn't matter which one. I usually start with my right leg. And you're going to do this. So, kind of like you're sitting in a chair or something. I'm going to do like this right here. And then you're going to grab the back of the other leg, and you're going to pull it like this. 15 breaths. All right, now we're gonna do it for the other side. Same way. All right, we have 2 more stretches left. We're almost done. We're almost done. This one right here is called the child's pose. This is a yoga pose as well. And once again, if you have lower back problems, okay, you're gonna love me for showing you this one. Best believe. This one was one of my saving graces when I had the back problems. All right, so basically, you're gonna get down on all fours, and then you're going to kind of bring your hips in. So kind of like this right here. Like this. And then, once you do that, you're going to sit back. So bring your butt towards your heels. And then you're going to stretch your arms out like this. 15 breaths. All right, so once you finish that, we're gonna do the last stretch right here. Now look, check this out. I'm gonna show you the stretch that I do, and then I'm gonna show you a variation of it that the physiotherapist gave to me. Shout out to him. All right, so look, you're gonna lie down like this, kind of like you're lying down. I don't really know how else to say that. And then you're going to do this. All right, so I'm gonna hold this for 15 breaths. I think this is a yoga pose as well. All right, so let me show you a variation of that same exact one. So basically, the variation is pretty much exactly what I showed you, except you're doing push-ups kind of at the same time. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. You're gonna do 30 of these right here. All right, I think you do this twice a day, if I recall correctly. Just like this. Now, if you notice, I'm not going as high up off the ground because the whole point is to kind of, I think how he said it was, pump the disc back into your spine. So you're pretty much just gonna do that 30 times, and you're gonna hold it at the top for about a second or two. Listen, when I tell you that this right here is pretty much the exercise that is responsible for fixing my back, I am not bullshitting you. So shout out to my physiotherapist for showing me that stretch, and shout out to my boy EEL Music for getting first comment 3 times in a row. The first person to three-peat, I believe, in this channel's history, but definitely during the month of November. Now look, let me tell you something, alright? If you let this man get 4 first comments in a row, I might have to disable my comment section, bro, honestly. I very well might have to disable my comment section. We'll see on this video. because this video right here is going up tomorrow. And after that, you're gonna get another video and another video and another video all the way through the rest of this month. Stay tuned.